Hello, hello, hello to our elite family. Welcome. Listen, I am ready to have some fun tonight. Talk to some of the greatest, smartest people I know. They're going to be sharing the elite trainers. I'm excited to have them on tonight. Listen, it's 8:30 and we like to party at night. So I just want you all to feel comfortable to ask questions. We are here in the comments. We can see your comments. I am Sheikah Petaway, the CEO of Elite Educational Enterprises. Yes, I am here and I'm excited to share with our great staff tonight. Listen, take an opportunity to follow us on all platforms right now. Elite Results Now. That's what we're all about, getting the right educational result. You can follow us on any one of our platforms and just connect with us. Listen, I'm going to now bring the trainers up. I want them to be able to share. We have Nikki Hunt. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
Miss
Hey.
Smith. She is in the office and also a trainer with us. Miss Bello.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Erin.
Hi.
Miss Stewart is here and Miss Melody. And so we're going to chat tonight. We are excited just to kind of be with each other. On Tuesdays, we normally meet. And we just kind of wanted to start sharing more with our early childhood community, childcare providers, directors, and owners, just share our expertise. So we have a very, very hot topic tonight. And so we're going to kind of get in it, just what's appropriate and what's not appropriate when working with children. Listen, we have so many years experience with sharing between all of us here. And so diverse backgrounds, right, ladies? Just in different settings, from directors to pre-K specialists, worked with special education. I mean, just diverse backgrounds in general. And so I thought this would be a great topic to start with our live feed. Now, if you're watching and you have anything that you want to share, I can see your comment, and like I said, I'll read it as I interview our trainers, and definitely we'll definitely address some of the topics, the comments. But we're going to kind of dive into it. So this topic kind of came on my heart as I was talking to a parent of a 2-year-old that's in childcare. And so she just was baffled at some of the things that occur with him. And so I thought to myself, just as a mom, right? Not as a specialist or anything. This is a topic that's worth talking about. What's appropriate and what's not appropriate. So, ladies, just feel free to chime in. I'm going to start with the first question. What are some inappropriate things to do while working in early childhood? What do you all consider inappropriate?
Hitting a child.
Putting your hands on somebody else's baby. Yeah, hitting a child. Anybody else?
Cursing at a child.
That's what I was just
Foul
about to say.
language.
Yes, that profound language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about kissing?
Oh,
Yeah.
No, you don't do that.
Before or
man.
after COVID, no.
Not kiss someone else's baby.
No.
And
Kisses are for
I
family.
said that one because honestly, ladies, when you're caring for a kid every single day, right? And they just become a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so easy to grab them, love them, a little infant, a 2-year-old, 1-year-old. And so it's never going to be appropriate to kiss a child in the mouth.
No, absolutely.
Never.
So I always say that that's inappropriate, to kiss a child. But what do you do? Like, say, for instance, if a child approach you for a kiss?
I would.
You could blow a kiss.
Positively redirect.
redirect. You can, I always tell them, save this for, kisses on your lips to save for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always kind of break it down to them that way. Like that is safe for, your family, your mommy, your daddy. And I would explain that. I think that no matter the age level, they can kind of relate or get that. That's for mommy's kisses.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what else? What's some inappropriate?
Well, for kiss, when I would give my kids kisses, I'd kiss my fingers and then put my fingers on them
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think it's right for you to put your lips on children that don't
Yes,
belong to you.
yes, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one too. And some educators will kiss their hands.
Mm-hmm.
But in COVID, I think you should leave your lips to yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Okay?
agree.
Leave your lips to your mask.
That was stuff that we taught pre-COVID. Okay,
Right. Yes.
post-COVID, there's a lot of things you can be doing in that classroom besides blowing kisses or kissing hands or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what, Miss Sheikah?
Yeah.
One thing I remember, and this was early 2000s, was having that conversation with 2-year-olds. I was maybe just finishing my associate's degree, and then I had children who were really feeling. Well, come to find out soon after that one of the children was actually, unfortunately, experiencing some inappropriate touches, but because of the psychology, how that person had groomed them, they thought that it was okay and appropriate. So as early as 2 years old, especially when they're starting to talk, is one of the times that I definitely encourage those who are working with young children to begin having that conversation. But then when you have them as infants or those toddlers, when they're starting to show that behavior, when they're wanting to be extra affectionate, is the time to really start to redirect.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Totally. And so another one I wrote down was wrestling.
Mm-mm.
I know that sounds funny, but I mean, I've been a director for years, and you would see people who rough play with kids.
Right.
We were just playing. Miss Stewart, in your field, have you seen that go wrong?
A lot of things go wrong in my field, unfortunately. When I show up, something has gone wrong. But yes, it happens, and they truly don't mean any harm. Sometimes they really don't. Their intent is just to be playing and roughhousing, and children are still young and they're very fragile, and they get hurt, and then someone like me shows up trying to figure out what happened.
Hello. And then you have to explain what happened.
Yes.
And then you have to show your level of competence. Like what made you feel like this was okay? Your level of, that's just not good judgment. And it's just so easy because, a child will walk up to you. I've had children. I remember I was pregnant and I was at church, and a little boy, he came to my belly and he was going, and so, kids do, they do that. And his dad was like, boy, I still laugh about it and chuckle about it today. But my point is, because they do that at home, they were rough, they'll do that, tackle your leg and try, I'm taking you down, I mean, and so it's just kind of, you have to set the tone of what's appropriate and not appropriate. And so let's kind of talk about what does it mean to be observable? And because when you're alone with children, you're going to have these moments when you are alone. Especially if you're in ratio and maybe you and your class. And so I try to teach this concept to childcare providers about being observable. And so tell me, before I get into, explaining, when you hear that, how did that, affect you? What do you feel that means? Anybody?
I would say it's being able to see what's going on from every angle.
and
or
being
positioning yourself to be able to see.
yeah, and
Yeah.
position yourself where you can be seen.
Mhm.
Especially now in the time of COVID. In what I do during the week, I have been in classes. Like I went and observed a class today. There were only 3 children in there at all, and
Mhm.
they come in one at a time. And so there was one teacher who was with this one person, with this one little kid, this one little boy by herself for like 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes of the morning. And I tell my when I train, I tell the teachers it's their job to keep the kids safe,
Mhm.
Mhm.
but it's my job to try to keep them safe.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things I want to teach them is keep yourself safe by keeping yourself where people can see you and nobody questions what might be happening between you and the one child that you're alone with.
Mhm.
Right.
Mm.
They run into a lot of issues with the potty training and the toileting time. When if you have certain bathrooms, the way that they're set up, you find yourself in that bathroom, but you got to figure out how to position yourself so that you're still maintaining their privacy, but you're not putting yourself in a position to where
Right.
it's
Right.
inappropriate.
Mhm.
Right. Right. That toileting time is very critical. I always teach that, you have to supervise in so many different ways and still be mindful of being visible. It's not it's an art. I know childcare providers, our pay scales in the industry is not like a school teacher, but it's really an art to supervising small children. And because they'll move on you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
They will move, they will do what they want to do. And so being observable, if someone walked by, and being mindful when, toileting a child or potty training them or diapering, that's all, something that you have to be mindful of. I
Right.
mean, it's an easy excuse, but listen, you still have to be mindful of it, and learn different strategies. I always tell them, take a deep breath, calm down, don't try to do all 7 at a time. If that's maybe you're taking 2 minutes per child, I mean that's a long time for number 7 to wait.
Mhm.
So maybe break it up into two children, and then reset yourself, reset your room. And so that's important. Okay, so my next question: what do you consider a bad room arrangement while working in childcare? Because if we're going to talk about what's appropriate, we can have a room arrangement that kind of work against us. So, what are your thoughts about that?
One that has lots of blind spots.
Mhm.
You
Or a
want
lot
to
of open space for running.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, with
yeah,
everything pushed up against the wall. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
if you unintentionally create a raceway. I
Mhm.
Yep.
did. I did. That is personal experience, y'all. It's, I discovered it. Luckily, I discovered it at Meet the Teacher night when all the kids were there. So after Meet the Teacher night, before the kids came to school, I rearranged my room.
Yeah, I've done it all. Especially the runway. It seems like that was my biggest weakness. Was I just wanted this open area, and it just
Mhm.
worked against me in a twos
Yeah.
room. They were like running circles around
Oh
me,
yeah.
hitting the fire thing on me. It was like my first few years as an educator. Like I didn't know anything about the twos, and they threw me in there. I was in a seminary, and I worked at the childcare center on campus, and boy, those 2-year-olds ran circles around me, and I thought they need more space. All these chairs, all these tables blocking them. That was for a reason.
Learned quickly, huh?
It was
Mhm.
just, it was bad. It was bad. I said, if you can do the twos class, you can literally be president. I'm just saying, you can multitask. That's some serious multitasking, working with
Yep.
2-year-olds.
Yes.
And so, so room arrangement is key with when you're looking for, when we're talking about appropriate and not appropriate, room arrangement is always going to be key because it really, the windows, doors, all of that, the shelving, the cabinets, age appropriate furniture, the owners, childcare owners don't really understand the level of necessity the furniture is. Like you may find something discounted, but if it's not the size,
Mhm.
that we need for this age group, the teachers need, then it's a triple effect. It's kind of like you're here, you're trying to supervise them with oversized furniture. Little
Yeah.
kiddos, they're hiding behind chairs. They're hiding, they're pushing it. If it's too small, if it's a 3-year-old with a toddler chair, they'll push that all over the room and make truck sounds. I mean, so it's very, very key to what's appropriate, what's not appropriate.
Yeah.
So let's talk about nap time. Let's talk about nap time. A lot happens during nap as it
Yes,
talks
it
about
does.
what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. And there is also some people in the comments. We see your comments. And so I'll have a question from someone on YouTube and I'll do that one next. But nap time. Is it appropriate? I'm laughing already, right? Is it appropriate, ladies, to during nap time to lay on a mat with cover
And go to sleep?
I mean,
actually
that's
do
where
that?
you're going. That's where you're going to sleep. Okay.
Right? Do they actually do that?
Turn the nap time music on.
Yeah.
They do?
Mhm.
Oh, people do that.
Huh.
And then they tell you, I was the director, they would tell me, I'm patting this child down.
Yeah. That's the only way she'll go to sleep is if I lay.
Yeah.
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 They done patted themselves to sleep. That's that.
Yeah.
They warmed themselves to sleep. They didn't got
I
cozy.
mean, my goodness. Listen, one of the directors in the comments said, are you going to be going home? That's where you go.
Yeah.
At yourself at your house.
Yeah.
But really, this is I want to talk about this because a lot of schools have, a lot of teachers, Tyler teachers, 2-year-old teachers have moved. Our kids is struggling with self-soothing. And so we moved a lot too. There's not a lot of kids that can just take a blanket and a mat and tell themselves to go to sleep. I train my kids even now to do that as a mom, but I'm in the education field. But there's a lot of children that suffer. I mean, they rock. I mean, you guys see them. They'll hit their head, bite their nails. I've even seen kids bite their clothing. And they can't really just relax and self-soothe. So for educators and us in the field, with the little ones, patting them and trying to put them down is become the culture of nap time and a culture. And so an appropriate way, if you're listening, any teachers, be mindful of not being in the dark. I know you want to turn the lights off, but you can also train children to sleep with, lights at 10%.
We do lights on.
Huh?
We do lights on at our
Lights
center.
on.
They're not allowed to turn the lights off.
See, that's what I'm talking about. And you teaching children to still self-soothe and relax with the lights on. Low lighting, music, classical music, things like that will help them. But teaching the children self-soothing techniques, but the teachers Any tips for teachers? Go ahead, Fee.
I'll say it's hard because there's never been a legitimate transition time. We just know it to be lunch where everybody's rowdy, throwing their fruit snacks, having a good time at lunch. And then they're expected to go from 100 to 0 really quick. Go get your blanket and lay down. I'll come pat you in a minute. And it's hard. I think that's the biggest reason why it's hard for a lot of the kids to self-soothe or just settle down.
Mhm.
And by the time, let's say Johnny, I hope no one has a child by name Johnny, but let's say Johnny, by the time he gets to sleep, it's almost time to wake up. And we've been waiting for Johnny to go to bed. We've been waiting, but because it takes him so long, by the time he's into it, we have to cut the lights back on, or we're singing our wake up song, and then Johnny grumpy, for the rest of the afternoon. So it's the lack of transition, I feel, from from lunch
that's a
to
very
nap,
good
where
observation.
we have we educators have an issue.
That's a good observation. I do believe that when I worked at an accredited center, we didn't just transition that way. We would slowly transition them, read a book.
Right.
You get your blanket, you sit on your mat. We would teach them breathing techniques. We would do our breathing, then we would go into the book, and then everyone knew, take your blanket, and I would walk around, and so I think different centers have, which was one of the reasons why we have our Facebook group. We're putting a plug in for that Facebook group. Join any of our groups. Join any of our groups, because the great part is the diversity of different centers can be able to give different strategies. But how you transition them is key in that transition. Yes, Miss Erin. Anyone else just chime in?
Yeah. You were talking. I wanted to make a comment about the self-soothing. And I think it's really important to teach children those self-soothing techniques, not just for nap time, but for other times. If you're frustrated, if you're upset, if you're, because those same techniques that will help them calm down to go to take a nap will also help them calm down later on if they're having, if they're upset or anxious or something like that. So I think this teaching them how to self-soothe is a really important thing.
Yeah, that is very that self-soothing and self-regulation is very a strong trait to teach a child, because that's it. When they're nervous, they can use it. When they're about to get in a fight, they can use it. Because we know in daycare, there's some hard hitters in daycare. I'll take, calm down, or gentle hands, different things, just teaching them that self-soothing. So thank you for that, Miss Erin.
One thing I did want to add, especially around supervision, when I was in the classroom, I always wanted to have a non-sleepers basket. So for those who were restless and that needed that transition time, they had an extra 30 minutes to say, okay, well, hey, if all of our friends are laying down, once the sand, flipping the hourglass over, once the sand comes, then you can come help me, or you can do something different. And so then that helped me to not have to really stay focused on that child, because then they wanted to help with or use the non-sleepers basket. So they'll end up eventually laying down themselves. But that's really critical in making sure that we're not caught in those suspicious positions where the child is either always getting singled out, or you're always having a child by you, because sometimes, depending on who's observing, especially with things being observable, they can look at it saying that you're isolating a child out, but they really need just extra attention. So what everybody is saying is so critical, but I just wanted to add that into the conversation.
One thing I do want to add, you brought it to my memory, was a scenario that occurred while I was director. A child made an allegation saying that the teacher, during nap time, talking about appropriate and inappropriate, beat her in her back, right? And so When the child makes the allegation that she was beat in the back, now I have to,
Right.
number one, do a report.
Mhm.
Well, after the investigation, it was determined that the child was hit in the back as the teacher patted her down.
Mhm.
So what I teach teachers is when you're doing something, you need to explain what you're doing. You don't just take it upon yourself and start hitting a child in the back for now. What if their mom, they're not used to that concept? They don't like it, and so you can give them the words to say, well, I'm patting you down. So it'll help you sleep. You do that and you talk. You let them know what you're doing. And so it gives them the words to say. So if they want to say, I don't want to be pat down, then you need to respect their space.
Right.
And you've given them the words, or they'll say, teacher, I don't like that. And she did not want to be pat down. And so she walked out of the room. She was 3. She walked to my office. And she told me, it with tears, pointing like, go get her. She beat me in the back. I was like, oh my goodness, right? She was through with her.
Yeah.
She was upset and she was through. And so with that being said, I had to, number one, do what was necessary. But at the same time, I am so glad we had very good investigators, because with that, they was able to walk that teacher through. The teacher was heartbroken because she felt like she needed to take a nap. So my point is that when you're dealing with appropriate and inappropriate to all teachers, directors, um, that child's perspective is key as well. Talking to them, explaining what's going on, the rationale behind it, is also key. Now, before we go, I want to put a plug in. One question we didn't get to was our YouTube. On YouTube, we are on YouTube. If you're looking at us on Facebook, we have a group of people that's on YouTube. And there's a question that says, if I do not have an assistant and my husband is ever at home, when the kids are at my daycare, does he have to be CPR certified? Does he also need to know all the minimum standards? And so, ladies, anyone want to do this one?
Yes and yes.
Long answer, short answer. Yes.
Yes. Long
And
answer is
I will
you need
also
way
say,
more than that. Like, yes.
But
So,
if he's just in the home and he's not supervising the children and he's in a different room, if
well,
he's
none of that matters, because her husband, if he's in the home and she's a home provider, he needs to be listed.
yeah.
oh,
So
okay, well then yes.
we need to start there. So we don't want to tell you yes, and then you leave your husband home with these children.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
No, he needs to
Let
be registered.
me
Like,
clarify this for the recording.
yeah.
Go to your licensee rep and put your husband on their black and white papers.
Right.
And he needs a background check. And he
Yes.
needs
Yes.
fingerprints.
Mhm.
And,
And
he
all
needs
his training.
training.
All his training.
And he needs everything. And he needs a file, because he is now a employee.
Yep.
Right.
You know,
Or an ongoing volunteer.
right. If he get paid, look, Bello said, an ongoing volunteer. Bello, if he doesn't get paid or not, he doesn't know it, but he's an employee.
Yeah.
And he needs to have all his papers. And that's for the record. And so please make sure you list him as a caregiver. If he needs CPR, we offer CPR, www.eliteresultsnow.com/CPR. We'll be happy to help you,
This
with
Saturday.
him and with all of that.
Yeah, this
So,
Saturday in Dallas.
listen, if he's in Dallas, Erin say, come see her.
This Saturday.
This
That's the
Saturday,
tricky
right,
thing
Erin?
about these home daycares is that it's best practice, and it's best to keep you safe. Just get everybody in your home registered and give them a staff file, so you don't have these concerns and
Yes.
they become an employee. Get them the same training, get them registered, get background checks. Just list them as a paid or unpaid employee. Keep yourself safe.
Yep.
Keep yourself safe, and definitely if people staying there for certain amount, just list it. List
Mm-hmm.
it, or they can't come, and that's the first thing they ask you: who lives in a household? Do not be shy to put that. It'll give you a moment to have a break, and also give you a moment, for you to be able to clock out and clock back in. All right.
Yeah.
Instead of a 12-hour shift. So, um, well, thank you, ladies, so much. I enjoy working with you all. I really
Oh.
do.
Yes.
Yeah.
You are squad, man. You a squad. And so you can see any of these beautiful ladies in any of our workshops. If you go to our website, I put it www.eliteresults.com. At the bottom of the screen, on under the calendar, you'll see their names listed, and you'll see the trainings that they're certified to teach. These ladies teach a multiplicity of trainings throughout the year. So at any time, you can sign up for a training. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for tuning in. I want to thank you all that's on YouTube, our followers on YouTube, our followers also on Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we will be back. Next month, we'll have another topic scheduled. If there's anything that you would like us to discuss or talk about that's a hot topic, you can send it into our office at Elite Results Now, info at Elite Results Now. We will discuss that topic. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful night.